Hi, Clara. This is Mrs. Elsmore, and I wanted to go over some of the ideas of your assignment. First off, let me commend you. You are doing really, really well. Let's look back at the assignment for a second here. It was asking that you have the 4 steps to an effective email and your audience, your purpose, the format, and being prepared. And you're graded on the subject line, the salutation, a paragraph of background information, a paragraph that establishes your ask. And if you look at the rubric, it shows you what kind of things you're needing to have with this. So I'm going to go over each part of the rubric, and then I'm also going to give you a handout, a physical copy of some things that you might do. But first off, let me tell you, you did a good job. And you have an idea, you have a good overall idea of the assignment. And we just need to work on a few things so that you will be able to make it so that it fits more of a professional kind of an idea. But you did a good job. You followed some of these ideas just extremely well. You knew your purpose really well. And you did some of the different information just great. So let's go over how we're going to make it a little bit better. First off, the subject line is appropriate. Let's look at that. Now I want you to look at the example that is in your book on the subject line and see if there is anything different in your subject line than there is in the one that is in the example. Especially kind of look at these parts in here. Now what you said, request for static guard, great. You did great. Just look at the format for that. See how that works, okay? So for that one, I gave you 2 out of 3. Now let's look at the next criteria, which is the salutation. This one right here is appropriate for your audience and topic. Now let's look at this. You wrote right here, Dear Peter. Now, I kind of wonder a little bit about that, Clara, because I doubt if you know this guy really well. And so you might want to use his more formal name rather than Peter. So you just kind of think about that a little bit as you go. That one also, I gave you a 2. All right, so then in the next one is enough background information to understand the context of your ask. Now, you did give us some good background information. You really did. You talked about the short notice, and you talked about the needing the information, but you just got the request. That would be what I would consider the background request. And so, what I would suggest to you, because look up here in the assignment. Let me get this moving here. Look up here in the assignment and it says 1 paragraph for background information and another paragraph for the ask. So actually I think what the assignment is asking for, Clara, is 2 paragraphs. And as long as we're talking about that also, let me talk to you a little bit more about format. I want you again to look at the example of the email that you have in your text. Look right in here. See how this does not really look like a paragraph? It needs to just work on the format. That's no big deal. All you're going to do is just make these lines all the same, make it into a little bit of a more formal kind of deal. It won't take you very long at all to do that because your information is fine. Okay, and then your second paragraph then would be the ask, which would be this part. You need to fulfill the work order. And it also is giving them a good thing to talk about what they need to do for the next time. Return email by 4 o'clock today. So you got the information here. You're doing good. You're really doing good. You're just going to clean up the format a little bit. And also, I must say that I just check and see if your spell check is on, because there are some problems maybe with some spelling here. And I think that you would be able to do better with that. And a little bit of problem with punctuation. And so what you're going to do with that is you're going to look up in our book that we have, you have some ideas on punctuation. And I want you to look at things like like capitalizations. I want you to look at fused sentences or run-on sentences. I want you to look at those. Okay, and just see if you can find maybe something that you could fix in those two areas. And a little bit, and read it out loud to yourself and read it out loud to someone else, and see if you can find maybe a couple of places where you might want to use some different words. So, all in all, let's look at it. You have the subject line, I gave you 2 points. The salutation, I gave you 2 points. Background, I just gave you 1 because you need to make sure that you have 2 paragraphs there. The information is there, but it needs to be 2 paragraphs and a little bit more clear. The ask, I gave you 1 for the same reason. Now your conclusion, look at this, look at your conclusion, lady. Look at here. Once again, I apologize for the last minute. Anyway, please let me know. Wow, that sounds very professional. You did a very, very good job with that one. I would just read it out loud because there might be a word that you're missing in there. And so read it out loud, see if you can figure out a word that is missing in that part. Other than that, I gave you a 3 on that one. Your conclusion is good. And then your sincerely, and that's good too. So all in all, Clara, you did a great job. And so I would say that with a little bit of cleaning up, because you got a 9 out of 15, which is not probably quite as good as you want it to be, but we can work on it, and you can get it so that it's there because it's got all of the parts. They just need cleaned up and made to sound a little bit more professional. Good job, girl. You're doing all right. Let's just work together and get this so that it is in good shape.